campers, it is I, Ledaz, again. Yes, I have new content. Well, kinda. Yes, I'm doing my evil stroke of the beard. I just noticed it was a bit squiffy. So, yeah, today's been a good day. I went down to just outside Peterborough and I bought some Caldness K1 media, second hand. But to get it at the right price, I had to buy 500 litres. Yeah, the car was a little bit full on the way back. But I did see a rather awesome pond with some quite large fish. In fact, a chag that would probably give Oakley a run for her money. So a couple of video clips coming up after this. And then I'm going to have a new feature on my channel, Skeggy Surgery. And that will come up after the video clips. Because there seems to be a little bit of confusion going on about parasites. So I want to have a little discussion about that. So without further ado, here are the video clips of the massive amounts of K1 I've had to buy, and this awesome little pond. Well, little pond. It's about 3,500 gallons, with some rather large fish in it. Oh, by the way, all those bags of K1 hold about 50 litres each. If anybody wants any, I'm going to sell it at about 25 quid a bag, because I don't need all of it. I mean, I can store it, but if anyone needs any, let me know and we'll have a chat about it. So without further ado, some video clips.
Air source or air source?
So how big's the chag? About 110?
It was 103, I think, when I measured it. That was a couple of years ago.
That is a beast.
It's got to be pretty close to 110, isn't it?
I reckon so.
Comparing that
There
to
ain't many about like that, is there?
And that has got a body and a half on it, hasn't it?
Yeah, Koyagi, that one for you. A pair of gorgeous Sasui.
Oh, Koyagi would have those out of the pond in.
He moaned at me the other day because I said he didn't like Asagi and Shisui.
Your water is like crystal clear, isn't it?
Yeah. It's not bad. It's just the blanket weed.
Well, this year's been a nightmare for me for blanket weed.
Well, it's life, isn't it?
It's been horrendous. And this is the rest of the pond. Absolutely banging pond. Here with Jamie, hiding behind the post. How many litres is this?
It's 3,400 gallons.
3,400 gallons, so 17, 18,000 litres off the top of my head. 2 windows?
Yeah.
Absolute cracker, mate. Absolute cracker. Quick look at the fish again.
Look at the blanket weed.
I'm avoiding the blanket weed. Hang on, we'll zoom in on
Every pond gets it.
that little bit of blanket weed there. Look,
5 foot long.
it's got to be about 5 foot deep, isn't it?
That's about just over 4.
Is it?
Yeah.
What drum are you running?
Quasi.
Oh, was he?
Same as me.
Only the single drum and bio. You know, the
Yeah.
Yeah, little one.
little one. That's all you need.
That's what you've got, isn't it?
Good trickle in, trickle out.
They keep the pond down clear, don't they?
What's that, the drum?
Yeah.
You can't moan at them.
I tell you what, that's a lovely Guinea Chiro.
They do gather their
What, the
shit.
little then?
Yeah.
I bought it a couple of weeks ago.
Where's that one from?
Good mate of mine.
I look at Haku, the deep
Which one?
The deep red one.
Really? There's a couple in there that I ain't gonna keep for that much longer.
When you load up your car with K1, and I say load up the car with K1, it's a little bit full. So, I hope you enjoyed those, just very short and sweet. So now we hit Skeggy's surgery. Some people have been winding me up saying I should do a Skeggy's Sunday surgery, but no, this is just a quick one, and I just wanted to address the current confusion that seems to be going around about certain parasites, namely COSTIA. Now, as we know, the Chagoi challenge, Jack the Balding Reefer has held his hands up and said he's found COSTIA, and the way he described it was internal COSTIA. On Mike Coy Beginnings live the other day, and both Twisted Coy Vince and I both said at almost exactly the same moment, internal COSTIA, I've never heard of that one. So after that I spoke to Jack on the phone and I said, well, yeah, is this a new strain of COSTIA? Is it something we haven't heard of? Is it, you know, what is it? He said, well, we found it inside the gill plates. Okay. So I just wanted to give my take on the difference between an internal parasite and a parasite. An internal parasite requires it to live inside the host. So, to give you an example, a tapeworm that you might find in a human. Whereas an external parasite doesn't require this, it can live outside of the host. Now, COSTIA is very similar to ringworm, I believe, in a human, where it will sit on the skin and it will burrow into the skin and it will start destroying cells. If it's left to its own devices, normally COSTIA isn't a problem. But if fish are stressed, if they're ill, if the water quality isn't good, if the filtration isn't good, if they're overstocked, if they've been transported, if they've been through treatments, COSTIA very commonly comes up after a fluke treatment because the fish is compromised. Normally a fish will deal with it, as with most parasites, quite well without any form of treatment. However, when the fish becomes weak, the COSTIA can take hold because the immune system isn't knocking it back. And if you do scrapes on most ponds and you scrape thoroughly enough, like inside the gill plates and the gills and literally every inch of a fish, you'll find COSTIA. It doesn't just magically appear. It resides in a lot of fish all of the time. As I say, it's not a problem until a fish becomes compromised. When a fish becomes compromised, the COSTIA can take hold. It can multiply, 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 and it then becomes a problem because it starts to overwhelm the fish. It's doing too much damage to the fish. It's leaving boreholes everywhere, and it starts attacking the gills because that's a nice, easy place to get its nutrients from. And if you get enough COSTIA attacking the gills, then the fish's gills die, and it basically suffocates to death. So that's basically how COSTIA works. And generally with COSTIA you'll find like red rashing, you'll find the fish gasping at the surface, you'll find them lethargic off their food, all the normal things you would expect. But the main key indicator of bad COSTIA is gasping at the surface because the COSTIA is attacking the gills and the fish can't breathe. And generally by that stage you're going to struggle to pull them back. But COSTIA is very, very easy to treat. In fact, I know for a fact that Adam Bayer had a case of COSTIA and all he did was email all of his customers that had fish that week and said, take your salt levels up to 0.75 and increase your water temperatures if you can, and get them to above 20. So it's a very simple thing to treat. There are strains of Costia that are salt resistant, but FMG, Alprex, will all treat Costia. I believe that PP will treat Costia, and I believe that CT will treat Costia as well. So there's a pretty wide range of things that will knock Costia out. Costia can be lethal. It will kill your fish if left unattended once you're in an outbreak stage. It's not something that's just going to go away. So if you're having an outbreak, then it's very important to knock it on the head, because it will just kill your fish. It's as simple as that. But the other reason Costia is very easy to kill is it doesn't actually have offspring as such. It's not like fluke where it lays eggs or it's a live bearer. What Costia does is it splits. It's called fission, as opposed to fusion, which is joining. So what you have is basically the body just splits into two. So once you kill it, there's no recycling of going back and trying to kill the eggs like fluke, you know. So it's a very simple thing to do. As for this terminology of internal Costia, the main place you'll find Costia if you're not having an outbreak is under the gill plates. That's not what I would call an internal parasite. It's still on the outside of the fish. An internal parasite would have to be within the organs of the fish, basically, not just burrowed into the skin, but right in the organs of the fish. So like a tapeworm in the digestive tract. There have been cases of Costia entering the fish via the mouth or the anus and being found in the digestive tract. However, that doesn't make it an internal parasite. It just means that the Costia have got to such an extent on the body, there's nowhere else for them to go but inside, because they've got nowhere else to latch onto. So it's just a progression. It'd be a bit like you're sitting there with your mouth open and a fly flying into it. It's that kind of thing. So I just wanted to clear that up. I have had people ask me, the same as Vince at Twisted Coids had people ask him, is this a new form of Costia? Which Vince and I both thought it may well have been from the original description. And it isn't. It's an unfortunate use of words that myself and others have taken to think there's something new out there. It's not something new, it's Costia. Yes, Costia can go inside the body, but that doesn't make it an internal parasite. An internal parasite is very, very difficult to find, because it actually resides inside the fish's body. So I just wanted to clarify that this problem has been put down to Costia and a secondary bacterial infection from the Costia. That is very difficult to prove, whether the bacterial infection is secondary or primary. Whichever way, I have to actually say that the way Jack's handled it, with a total recall and everything he's put in place, is admirable. There aren't many places that would do that. And I don't know of many dealers that actually scrape every fish that they send out, to be fair. but I just really wanted to clarify the COSTIA situation. Yeah, that's really all it kind of comes down to. So, in short, there isn't a new strain of COSTIA that resides inside the fish. It's just plain and simple COSTIA that we treat in the usual way, and hopefully it's not gone too far to not be treatable, and hopefully it hasn't spread into people's ponds. But obviously there's now things in place to treat people's ponds. I think if it were me, I'd be using CT, because that has the double whammy effect of being parasitic and antibacterial. I think that's what Mike is doing with his pond. I would probably say to anybody that had fish from the Chagoi challenge to treat their pond at the parasitic level of CT dose for several days. But I know how I would treat it, but obviously be guided by what it says on the packet, and you know, I'm not going to advocate people going against what it says on the packet, but I would probably do it a different way to what was on the packet. I'd probably go heavier and harder just to make sure it was knocked on the head, but that's entirely up to you guys. My main thing was to try and iron out this misunderstanding on the COSTIA side of things. You know, I've spoken to Jack about it, and I have confirmed with him that it is just normal COSTIA. It's not something new, and it is the way it was worded was that it, you know, because he found it under the gill plates, he'd worded it as internal. So anyway, that's enough of me waffling on about COSTIA. I just needed to get that one off my chest and out there, basically. Hope everyone's ponds are doing good. I hope the mild weather is keeping your fish still active. Mine are still feeding like little piggies, and some of them are still growing even. So I'll catch up with you all on the next one. Ciao!